Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Great Movie Podcast. I am your co host, Caleb, and this is
Noah. Hey guys, what's up?
Hey. So today we wanted to talk about remakes and not specifically, we'll talk about the remakes that have already been done at a different time, but we wanted to talk about remakes that maybe should happen.
Hmm.
So there'll be a little bit of debate. We haven't discussed, as usual, we haven't discussed the movies that we jotted down or thinking about. We might argue a little bit. Who knows? Because there are, you know, as a rule, I don't love remakes, and I don't think they should be done. But I kind of feel like there's a few exceptions out there that I think some of us could agree on. So we're going to talk about those today. But first, if you guys could like and subscribe, can you follow, whether you're listening to us on your drive into work or you're watching us on YouTube, however it is, like, subscribe, follow, blah, 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 blah. That'd be great. So Noah, how do you want to start on this?
Well, I wanted to make a statement before we
Yeah.
talk about specific movies. For me, remakes, there are specific movies I think should never be remade ever. I also think that when a movie gets remade and it's terrible and everyone's like, this is awful, la la la, it's like a 3.7 on IMDb, it's like 50% on Rotten Tomatoes or less. Like when it is lambasted, I think it does drive more traffic. Now, I don't have no way of looking at the metrics, but I feel like it drives more traffic to new people to watch the original. And so I don't know if there's any proof to that. I don't know if that's real. I don't have any look at the metrics, but I feel like when a movie comes out and people are like, this sucks, it's nothing compared to the original, there's people my age or younger or even older than me that haven't seen it that go, oh, there was an original, let me go watch that. Everyone says it's amazing. And so from that standpoint, I do like that remakes happen because I do think that it gives a new audience to the classics that haven't been watched.
Well, I think that's true. And I think that happens with, even if it's a remake that's good, like, the how many different ways has, like, the Seven Samurais been made? But
So many times.
a lot of people don't know about the original, so they go back and they watch it, or they watch, like, the Keys version, or the, whatever version you want to go to. And yeah, you're right. I think in most cases, I think it drives some amount of traffic to the original. How much, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. If you want, I can pitch a movie that I think should get remade. If you want to start off with a pitch, or if you have another way you want to start this off.
Yeah, yeah. I could sort of, like, kind of torn between, because I went with a lot of, like, real genre-based films. So I didn't go with, like, just a straight drama or whatever. I went with more like sci-fi and adventure, that sort of thing. I would say maybe a good place to start would be a remake of The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was
Yeah.
originally in the mid 50s, I believe. And for those that don't know, when Dracula came out, and we were talking all this in our Halloween podcast, Dracula, the Mummy, Frankenstein, and so every studio wanted to create their own monster to go with this stuff, and so they created The Creature from the Black Lagoon, which is basically a scientist discovers a skeletal remain that they think link the fish animals to the land animals. They think it's like the joining of the two, and they go off on an expedition to find this creature, and all kinds of things ensue. And I just think it just hasn't really. It was made in the 50s. The technology was fine for the time, but they didn't. There's a reason that all the other monsters, like, they had, like, a life after their original, like, movies, but this one didn't really go anywhere.
So along the lines of a horror movie, I guess since we're in that kind of a genre, I'll throw a movie
Oh, wait, before you
which, yeah,
to stay with this other movie for a second, though.
yes, no, go ahead.
So the list of people who have tried to remake this is pretty astounding. Like John Carpenter tried to do it. Ivan Reitman tried to do it. I wrote it down. But Guillermo del Toro was offered
I
to
I
do it.
was gonna say I feel like he could do a very good version
So
of it.
he pitched his version of it, and this was in 2005, 4 or 5 or something, and they didn't love his version of it, and so instead he made King Kong, but he stuck
Mm.
with that idea, and that idea is what turned into his film The Shape of Water.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Even the creature is very similar to that
Yeah,
original mock-up.
yeah.
Okay.
So and
Oh,
yeah, so there's and again, when I looked it up, there's in 2024 another director was assigned to write and direct this whole, and it's like by the director that did like Saw and stuff. So
okay. So it's like a remake that's just constantly in the winding
in the
revolving
works.
door. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I think
Mhm.
that could be I think you could also do it as a TV show. I think a movie would make more sense, but I think you could also do it as like a mini series.
Yeah, like a Netflix or somebody grabs it and does like a 6 part thing or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, then a movie I had that fits kind of like the horror genre is, and I know when I say the movie, people might be like, the movie's not very good and the director shouldn't get remade. But he remade his own movies. Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds.
Interesting.
I
Granted, yeah,
think
there'll be a lot of people that will argue you shouldn't touch a Hitchcock movie.
now, and I hear that, but if so, number one, if your argument is that movie shouldn't get remade, the movie's not that great. If you go back and watch it, The
Yeah,
Birds is not a Hitchcock classic. Like it is a good film, and people know what it is, but it's like it's
yeah,
not top tier by any stretch of the imagination.
yeah.
But I think the concept of birds just annihilating everything is terrifying. And I think would in a modern setting be an awesome thing to remake, especially with like
Anyone who's been to a beach where there's like people like eating and there's seagulls knows how terrifying it can be.
yes, and it in pop culture, the movie is relevant and it's like inspired like spoofs and mock-ups all over the place. But also to counter the argument that Hitchcock should never get remade, Hitchcock remade like 3 of his own movies. There's I'm trying to think of the name of 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 the one, but there's shoot, what is it called? There's I think the original one has Peter Lorre, and then he remade it again. I'll have to look it up. But there's Hitchcock made a movie, and then it was like I didn't like this as much, so he remade it again like 20 years later.
And just renamed it something else.
No, it's like the same name, the exact same name, just different
Gee,
cast, and that one's better. And so I think Hitchcock can get reinvented. I think there are certain ones that are completely like off. Like I don't think North by Northwest should ever get remade.
no, yeah, right. You got to leave that alone.
But there are movies like Rope. I think Rope would be a really cool movie to get a revamp because it's an apartment setting. There's a bunch of people at a party and there's a death. It's like a murder mystery,
Right.
and I think that would be cool. Throw a bunch of modern actors in there. It's a
Hmm.
Hitchcock classic, but it's not like North by Northwest or To Catch a Thief or Psycho, which they tried and horribly did. That was
Yeah.
terrible. Yeah. So the birds, and then maybe Rope. I had as 2 Hitchcocks that I think could do with a really cool remake.
That reminded me that you mentioned Psycho.
Hmm.
Another remake that I think there probably has been some little minor remake-ish sort of stuff. I don't know the history of it, but the original movie, The Black Hole, yeah. So like there's a these people they're in space and they go to rescue this other spaceship and the black hole's there and it's controlled by this madman. Da, da, da. And one of the actors who is on the ship is the guy who Anthony Perkins, who was Norman Bates in Psycho.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a little linkage going on there.
Okay.
But it also stars Maximilian Schell, who he got to fame basically because he was in the very serious Judgment at Nuremberg.
Hmm.
It also has Robert Forster, Ernest Borgnine. So I'm not trying to like pump up the original movie because I think the original movie isn't that great, but the premise of it is interesting enough that I wonder if some director might be able to take that and turn it into a new, with the new technology and the CGI that we have now. I think that could be remade into a much better movie.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I think there's a lot of, especially with the advance of technology, there's a lot of sci-fi that even if, like, it wasn't a remake, it was a continuation of the series, but like Blade Runner, the second one they made
Yeah,
wasn't a remake, but
2049. Yeah.
that was immaculate because of what they could do with the green screens and the special
Yeah.
effects and the ever so often I think you need another good example, Battlestar Galactica when they remade that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's certain things that are benefited, especially in sci-fi, from a
Yeah.
remake because you can do so much more than when you had a guy in a Wookiee suit walking around
Yep.
like the Colorado mountains and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's a different planet." Like,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. On the flip side, I thought the newer version of Battlestar Galactica, I didn't actually like it. I like stopped watching after a while.
okay. My
Yeah.
dad
Plot.
loved it. I said,
There's a lot of plot problems, and I don't know. It was like felt like the beginning of woke was sort of happening in that series. But anyway, but you're right. They could do a lot more with it than they could then back in the day, which they were able to. Like just like a guy in a suit walking around. Now, I am a huge proponent of guys in a suit walking around because I think
"Sure."
there is something more natural that like your eye can sort of know that it's like that knows what it is, whereas the CGI, there's something about it that your eyes still catch that it doesn't look right.
I think there's a mixed medium that some directors are doing really good now that you can use practical effects and then also use. I think Christopher Nolan is really good at this. And I think
It feels like Peter Jackson paved the way for
Peter
that.
Peter Jackson, yes. Denis
Yeah,
Villeneuve is really good at this.
yeah,
But it's a very good mixed medium of we built a giant ship, but we're going to CGI the space around it. And
right,
I think that's cool because that the trick on your mind is, oh, this looks very real. And you can't get around the fact that it's not. It's
right.
very grounded, even if you know, oh, that's a giant spaceship. That shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had another one. So sci-fi. Any other sci-fi movies while we're kind of on the
Oh, I got
sci-fi genre that
so many. It's ridiculous.
okay.
Like,
Well,
there'll be some that I won't hit, but
what's another?
I think a good one to redo, and some people would say you can't, again, and I can see both sides of the argument, right? Because it's like you want to say, oh, well, I liked that back in the day, but it's like, but with the new technology, I think you can do the same story and tell it again because it would be so hard for people to go back and find this other movie. But there was a movie, it came out in 1984, The Last Starfighter,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And it would
Okay.
speak to the modern viewers because the story is about a kid who at the time he's playing an arcade game, but basically he's playing a video game and he scores high enough, and then he realizes that the video game is actually a recruitment tool to get to recruit people to fight in an interstellar war. So those that are so good at like their dexterity and they're able to move their ship around and shoot stuff out of the sky, and then they're contacted, hey, do you want to fight in a real war? That's the premise of that movie, and I think that would just be perfect now.
Well, on that same subject, and it's more of a recent film, but I think they should remake Ender's Game because that movie was not very good at all, despite having a very good cast.
Yeah, that was what was weird about like again for to you, but to the listeners, that series, the Ender series, is one of the best series that I've ever read, and Ender's Game is the pinnacle. Well, you can argue about the pinnacle of the series, but some would say Speaker for the Dead is better, which that would be an amazing movie too, even if they just did like three in a row. But yeah, Ender's Game, it's weird because it didn't come out too long ago, but maybe it's whoever directed it, I don't remember who. They got good people to cast in it, but it just didn't quite work.
I think what it was is it came out during the middle of the renaissance of the teen action movie.
Oh, okay.
You had like the Hunger Games, the Maze Runner, the Divergent
The
series,
Divergence, yeah.
bunch of, and some of them good, some of them not so good, but you know, some of them, but for a specific audience of like that middle school going into high school crew
And
of
the actors
people
in the
that's
movies, they're all just running around like doing stuff.
yeah, and then I think it was made with that kind of like a demographic in mind, and then got heavy hitters because you've got, if I'm not mistaken, it's Ben Kingsley and
Harrison Ford
Harrison Ford,
and
and like
Viola, whatever her name
uh,
is it Viola or Viola Davis?
Viola, I think, yeah, Viola Davis,
Well, her, however she wants to
yeah,
pronounce her name.
yeah. So I think they're like, all right, well, we'll make this movie for these teens, but we'll throw these actors in so adults will buy tickets.
Yeah,
And then it didn't work because they went like style over the substance, and the
yeah.
substance is one of the greatest book series of all time.
And what's
And
interesting about it is that Ender's Game, the book, it's very cerebral, which is why it's so good, but it's actually very violent. Like it's a little bit of like you have a futuristic version of like the Lord of the Flies going on. And
Hmm.
they don't get into that in the movie. And if you don't do that, then it is just about a kid who's being trained to go to war.
Yeah.
And it's a little slow. But if you throw this the cerebral, maybe it I don't know how it could be done differently, but it has to be because it's so good. And again, it's very violent in the book, and that has to be shown. And I know they did for obvious reasons they didn't want to show violence with kids, but that's the reason it works. There's a reason that Lord of the Flies works, and you just got to go into it knowing that there's going to be some violence and it's going to be uncomfortable, but like that's the reason the story is epic. So,
Yeah. And I think that's another one of those, if they remade it, would benefit from maybe a miniseries or a TV show. I don't think it necessarily needs a movie.
well,
You
did you
could
did you
do,
know? I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you know that the writer of that he ended up writing a book that is from the point of view of another character in the same exact like story.
whoa, that's
So
cool. I did not
in
know
the
that.
book, there's a character. His name is Bean, and
Yeah,
he's like
Bean.
Bean. Well, he wrote the story of Bean and how he gets to that whole situation, and so it's like not everyone reads all the books. I get that, but because there's the primary three, and there are a handful of others after that. But again, I agree. I think that one is worthy of something, maybe a mini series. It's not a long book though, so if you do a mini
No.
series they're going to add a lot of filler, so I'm not quite sure. Well,
Yeah.
they could do it if they actually added the stuff because there's a whole element of what's going on Earth at the time.
Hmm.
Because in the book, Ender is like he's a genius, but he has two siblings who are also geniuses, but they got left on Earth. One of them because he was ultra violent and a genius, and then his sister who was they thought that she might be able to control the violent sibling. And so they have a whole thing on Earth that they go through while Ender's in space. And so they didn't really cover all this in the book. So it could be a mini series
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
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 What
That
else you
would be
got?
interesting. So, I don't know if you had any more sci-fi that you wanted to throw out there that were like super like I need.
Do I have the sci-fi? No.
Because I don't want to like bounce around genres if you've got a couple more for
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's stick with sci-fi. I got a couple more. I'll pick. Um, this is one that a lot of people don't know, but I really liked it as a kid. It's a movie called Ice Pirates.
never seen it.
It's a sci-fi
Okay.
movie. It's about these two guys. It's got a campy kind of feel to it. It was made in 82
Sure.
or 81 or let me look. That was 84 too. And it's like guys in space that are going around stealing water and stealing ice, and so they're called ice pirates
Okay.
because water is a commodity in space. And so they end up like having to help a princess find her father, and it's all the hijinks ensue. But the cast, not everyone knows Robert Earl, Robert Earl. I can't say his name. Earl. It's like Ulrich.
Well, not everyone knows him because you can't spell his name,
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah. He actually died of a crazy cancer that 1 in a million people get. Yeah,
Whoa.
he died like at he was 55 years old or so. But the cast also has a young Ron Perlman, Angelica Houston, John Carradine, and a guy I don't know if you've ever heard of Matuzak. I think it's a Polish name or something. Anyway, he was the guy who played in Goonies.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay,
he's
sure,
a
sure.
former football player who's like 6'8". Anyway, all
Big
these people
dude.
are in the movie. It's all the hijinks and all campy space stuff, and it's not meant to be taken seriously. I think that could be a really funny space comedy in the modern era.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Trying to think if there were any. I had one sci-fi. It's escaping me now. I didn't. It had other genres that I had more so written down. The next genre, because I had like films broken up into genres. Because once I got
Okay.
thinking about this, I kind of was like, all right, well, let me start with a genre, because then I'll think about movies in that genre, and that kind of
That's
helped me
that's
to
that's
like,
actually what I should have done, I think, because my brain was everywhere, and then when your brain's everywhere, it's nowhere, and like
yeah.
so I should have
I
done that. I
sat
should have
down.
thought of horror movies and thought of yeah. What do you got then?
So I thought of the next category of like film noir. Because there's a lot of vintage, like these black and white film noir where the movie may be good, but
Yeah.
not good enough that it's untouchable.
There are a
Um,
lot of those movies that people don't realize
lot
how
of
many
them.
movies were made in the 30s and 40s, and yeah.
Yeah. And one specifically um uh would be Key Largo.
Okay.
Um, it is a Humphrey Bogart movie. Who, by the way, this is how many Humphrey Bogart was in like 345 films.
Okay.
So I would think that like at least 100 of those are these noir movies that you could remake because
Yeah,
that
yeah,
dude
for
did
sure.
everything. But like, so Key Largo, it also has Edward G. Robinson and Lauren Bacall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the movie is directed by John Huston,
Mm,
and it's about a group of people that get marooned, well, not marooned, but they get they're already on, it's like a vacation island, and they get trapped on this island because of a hurricane, and they get trapped with a mobster who's looking for treasure on the island.
mm,
And Edward G. Robinson plays this mobster, and it's very dark because there's storms going on, and this guy is like killing people on the island, and he's like trying to pressure these people and then trying to like take the only boat off the island to get away. And it's a really good movie. On IMDb it's got like a 7.1 or a 7.2, so it's a very solid movie. But it's like a movie I think you could easily remake in this day and age, use some really cool. I'm a personal sucker for movies that take place maybe in one location and have just a bunch of stars and let them do what they do. And I think that's why like the those Knives Out movies work so well with Daniel Craig, because like it's a murder mystery but it's like all in one spot, and it's all a bunch of really good actors that get to play.
yeah.
And I like that setup. And I think with Key Largo, you could do that really well. Yeah. Um,
It's just too
I
bad that
enjoyed
Knives
that.
Out wasn't better.
You don't like it as much?
It's kind of boring.
Okay. Okay.
Which is
I like, I'm
I was
very
surprised. I
excited
was
for the
surprised
third
that
one.
it got like great reviews and it has a great cast and everything. And I watched it. I'm like, all right.
I think you should watch the second one. It was really goofy. Dave Bautista is really funny in it.
Yeah, and I love him and Daniel Craig and all those guys. So yeah, I might give it a shot for sure.
And then the second one that I have for film noir is the Maltese Falcon, also another Humphrey Bogart movie.
Wasn't there a version of that was remade?
If it was, it's not a recent.
I just that one rings a bell. I'm not looking it up. When I do this, I for those listening or watching, like I record with my phone, so I don't have no resource to look anything up. So I'm just going from memory or what I scribbled down. So
Yeah, I saw someone when I was looking, kind of doing some research for this. I saw someone that was like, "You should remake Double Indemnity," and I was like, "No, that is one on the list that you don't touch. If you haven't
I
seen
can't
Double
do it.
Indemnity, go see that. That's Fred McMurray, who's an amazing actor. I love that man." But yeah,
But who the guy
someone,
that's in Flubber?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the absent-minded professor.
Yeah, okay. I thought
Yeah,
that was the guy. Yeah.
yeah,
It's been
and
a
the
long
Shaggy
time since I've
Dog.
watched him in anything. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Did you have another movie to
No, I
throw out?
didn't. My mind did not even go to like old, like noir kind of stuff. I stuck with adventure and fantasy and sci-fi basically.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, well, I do have. Do I have one that's not? Oh, I do have one that sort of fits in your older. It's not noir because it was made in 1970, 71, something like that. There's a movie called Colossus. It's like
Okay.
Colossus, blah 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 blah, but Colossus is the name. But it would be kind of ripe for a remake because it's about a supercomputer that becomes sentient and joins forces with another supercomputer in Russia, and the sentient computers just try to take over the world.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. And I
Which
was
is
just like,
poignant for today.
right. That's why I was like, that one could be remade with better graphics and better whatever. And I think that would be a good one to be remade. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, that's interesting, especially with today's day and age with the whole AI and
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it would be a hit. And congratulations to whomever happens to listen to this and have money and know a producer. But hey, I'm a writer, so if you need a writer to rewrite that movie, I can do it.
call him up. Call him up. Another random movie that I had and I wanted this remade just because I think it's a delightful little movie, but you could turn this more so into a horror. You could change the genre on it. I think would make it an interesting remake. But the movie Harvey with Jimmy Stewart, where he is a guy who has an
There's people coming
invisible.
for you now. There's people coming for you.
Yeah,
You said
yeah.
you said Harvey and the Maltese Falcon. People are gunning for you now.
I know, but I think they're though both of those movies, and Harvey, if you don't know Harvey, it's about a man, Jimmy Stewart plays Harvey, who has a pet, well, not pet, but a best friend who is an invisible, like 9 foot tall rabbit. And I think with some, like, I think if you attached like a horror director to that and made it more of like a, instead of just this, like, because that movie is not horrifying at all. It's just an innocent movie about a man who has a pet, like a friend, like an invisible friend.
Yeah.
And I think if you attach like a horror element to it, it could really like buff up the movie. Not that it needs buffing up, but I think I liked that movie. I love Jimmy Stewart, and I like the concept of, because when the movie finishes, you don't know if that rabbit's actually real or not, because they give you like a little hint that that rabbit actually might be real, and then you're like, I don't know what I just watched, because what if the rabbit is real? And I think that'd be a good movie to remake, because it's not like I don't think it's not like an Oscar level winning movie. I think that you could remake that easily without people being like, rah.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. But I wouldn't give out your address. That's all I'm saying. Okay, in line with your, because I would consider that a classic film, regardless if people like it or not. I think I just have one like that I would consider a classic film that I would actually remake, and the original is good, but I would remake, or I would, if we're allowing remakes to happen, I should say that.
Yeah,
For those
yeah.
that don't like
Well,
remakes,
we
that's fine.
preface this by we don't like remakes. So
Right?
like
Yeah, yeah. So
these
we're
are
just talking
just
about like
if
if you're
we
gonna
have to
do
get
it,
remakes, give us what we want.
yeah. So if you're gonna do it, I say remake Treasure Island.
Yeah.
Because the original was in the 50s. It was like Disney's first live action film, and which I didn't know it actually. It was, but so the film works, and there's been so many different versions of it or remakes or whatever. You have Muppet Treasure Island, which is like classic and amazing. You have
You have Black
Charlton Heston.
Sails.
What's that?
You have Black Sails, which is like the
Black
prequel
Sails.
to it.
Charlton Heston did a version of Treasure Island also. So there's lots of versions. In fact, one of my favorite miniseries of all time is called. It was actually a Disney miniseries called Return to Treasure Island with Brian Blessed,
Oh, I
who,
love Brian Blessed.
yeah, Brian Blessed. For those that don't know, he has this big booming. Can you even do his? That he's a hard voice to do.
Yeah, I can do Boss Nass. I can do Boss Nass, but that's hard.
Yeah. So yeah, he did the. Yeah, go try and do the that one.
We suck on a speed you to the planet core.
Yeah, for those that don't know, that was the character Boss Nass in the Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace, yeah.
Yeah, he plays Long John Silver, and in that
Okay.
movie, yeah. And so for those that don't, he also played in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. He played Kevin Costner, Robin Hood, his dad in the beginning of the film. He has he has a huge list of films and everything that he's been in, but got sidetracked there. But Treasure Island, I think, would be a great remake just for the modern era. With I love pirates, and I know there's all kinds of more crazy pirate stuff with with the Johnny Depp and his character,
You can
but
never get enough pirates.
yeah, it's just a classic movie that I was like, that one could be remade because it's already been remade a couple times. So like the seal has on remaking something has been broken already. So it's like you already remade it once or twice, you can do it again.
So on that note of remaking classics that might have some pushback, I have two more. Yes. So my favorite movie is The Magnificent Seven. And that is a remake of The Seven Samurai. We talked
Right.
about that. They recently remade it with Denzel Washington and Chris Pratt and Vincent D'Onofrio, and that rocks.
That was
that
awesome.
remake
That was a
rocks.
great,
It's
great
so
film.
fun. It's great.
We gotta do a podcast about like the best remakes.
Remakes that work, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we can also throw in remakes that do not on that list maybe too. But that's one that works. And seeing that made me think of some other classic westerns that I would not mind seeing a spin on if done the same kind of way. Because there's not a lot that should be touched, I think. However, I think The Sons of Katie Elder would be a very interesting movie to remake.
Yeah, well, number one, it's a terrible name for a movie.
It is. It's so bad. You'd have to change the name of the movie.
Yeah,
But
change the name of the movie. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But that the subject matter of that movie and the whole concept of that movie is awesome. And it is a great movie, and I think the remake would not be as good as the original. However, I think it's a movie that like the subject to me is just cool. Like there's
Isn't that with Shirley MacLaine?
I don't
Or is
know
it
if
somebody else?
Shirley MacLaine is in that. That
Well, because
that
that doesn't
movie,
matter. Man.
yeah, but that's Dean Martin, John Wayne, and if you don't know that movie, go watch it. But it's the subject is four guys lose their mom. She passes away, and so they all come back to the town that they lived in, and they find out that there was some shenanigans, and there's a guy that runs the town now that might have killed their dad,
Hmm?
and that's the plot, and it's awesome. And I think you could do that again. And there are a lot of like really good modern westerns. Like I think if like Taylor Sheridan did something with it, or even
Oh,
like I think he could do a really good like modern version of it. I don't even think it needs to be like a classic western. I think it could be a modern western. It
yeah,
could be like, four guys worked on an oil rig and they left cuz they, whatever, and then they come
right,
back to
yeah.
their small town or whatever. I think he could do a really good version of that. Make it modernized, add some modern weapons, but like, Texas based or like out west, like somewhere where it connects. Yeah, I don't think I want like a gangster version in Chicago, but like,
No, no.
yeah. But I think that's a movie that's like, it's a classic, but it could touch with a redo. There's
Okay,
some
yeah,
westerns that,
yeah. What was your other
yeah.
one?
The other one is a little bit more dicey, and I don't think I want it remade at all. But if you're gonna remake one, I think The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance could get remade.
Oh, I don't know.
I know,
Oh,
I know, I know.
yeah.
Jimmy Stewart is like top 5 favorite actor for me on the list of actors. Like I think and we could do a whole podcast about best actors of all time, but Jimmy Stewart is like one of my guys, if not my favorite guy. And so I don't want to remake anything that he's in. However, that story of a guy who goes to a town to just be a lawyer and has to save the town
Yeah.
is an interesting idea. And I think it's a great what I like about the way they do that movie is the movie is being told by the people remembering him at his funeral,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
and you don't, or being told about John Wayne because his character dies. They all come back to town for a funeral, and so they're retelling that whole story. And I like movies where like you forget that this is a story because like they'll start off with like narration, and then it'll be like this is what happened, and then they'll go back to like present time. And so I think there's cool things you could do with it now. And the remake, like with how westerns have been lately, like not I say lately, but this has been a couple years ago. But 310 to Yuma, amazing.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good as remake, yeah.
As far as remakes go, I don't know. I think 310 to Yuma was a remake of a Japanese film, I think,
Yeah, it was.
and then there's another movie, True Grit. The Coen brothers did a True Grit with Jeff Bridges and Matt Damon, which is awesome. Uh, compared like they're almost like if you watch them, I watched them side by side recently. If you watch the John Wayne True Grit and that True Grit, it's actually really hard to pick which is better.
Hmm.
There's like I think if you take nostalgia out of the John Wayne, you could give the edge to the other one. That's how like close they are if you watch them back to back.
Yeah.
So with people doing solid Western remakes, I think you could do some of these classics, even if, there's John Wayne movies like, that are just like The Shootist that will never get remade because that's like his final film. And I don't know if you can remake like that kind of like a thing. Like a lot of his movies you could remake because the subject is cool. Even if it's a John Wayne, I think you could touch him. I think you could use that like a plot and kind of just revamp the plot. I
Yeah.
don't know. That's just my thought because I think westerns are one of my favorite genres. So
Yeah.
I'd
I
love
wish more
I'd
were
love to
made.
see more westerns.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess yeah, my thing is like again, I don't really like remakes anyway. Um I'm just considering like yeah, you could remake Liberty Valance, but I like to find like a movie that has potential and remake it into something better. Like
Sure.
but just depends. I mean, like you said, that has been done, especially in westerns. They've done a lot of remakes that have been successful.
Yeah. Well, there was also I had another, not Western, but I was thinking also, aside from movies, I was thinking of like TV shows that could get somewhat of a remake. And I thought that as a movie, you'd have to, comedy is tough this day and age because there's people that they don't want to write funny. But like, if you can get the no holds barred people that will actually write it funny, I think Gilligan's Island would be a fun like movie to kind of like do.
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like the concept of random people getting trapped on an island and trying to get off and getting thwarted all the time
Yeah.
would be an interesting remake, because there was another show that they remade not too long ago. They remade Lost in Space. Netflix
Right.
remade
Yeah, they
Lost
did.
in
Yeah.
Space, and that was really good. And then they came from the same kind of era of TV, so I think that'd be
Yeah.
interesting to get a
Yeah, I mean,
Gilligan's
I
Island.
didn't I didn't go down the TV route with any of this, so I'm just thinking like there are some that have been remade as TV shows, and there are some that could be remade that maybe they just didn't have the budget or they didn't go long enough. There's a whole lot of TV shows that didn't get their due, we can't even talk about all that, but yeah, I could see something like that, yeah. I was just thinking about TV, so that made me Gilligan's Island made me think of a kid. I have two. You could argue more, but two movies that are sort of geared towards kids, and one that I think could be remade, and one that I think might be possibly being like a remake, which is The Flight of the Navigator.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think there's
yeah.
rumors of it being touched.
Vince Vaughn and somebody else, maybe Owen Wilson, but I know it's Vince Vaughn and somebody. And I guess it was like one of their favorite movies as a kid. This was in the last couple of years. There was like some rumors that they wanted to do it. Um,
Okay.
and for
Okay.
those that don't know, it was an '85 or '86 film about a kid who basically he falls down a ravine and he knocks his head, and when he wakes up it's 8 years later and he hasn't aged at all. At the same time, an alien spacecraft has crash landed on the earth, and this kid, when they find him, they realize that like he is on the same brain wave as the alien spacecraft, and so they bring the kid into NASA to study the kid to figure out how to like communicate with the spacecraft. And basically the kid like leaves on the spacecraft on like an adventure, and like hijinks ensue. There's little cool monsters and little cool animated little guys, and it's just a fun movie that I think it could be one of two things. Either you go back and you use the original source material and you update all the CGI
Yeah.
and re-release it in theaters. I think it would do fantastic. But they don't do that anymore. So I think it has to be a remake, and you keep it pretty close to the original plot. I think you have a gold winner.
So I did look it up, and there is a film under the same name under pre-production. And currently, Bryce Dallas Howard is tapped to direct,
Okay.
and she's done very well recently, directing the kind of sci-fi stuff with Mandalorian and some of the Star Wars projects.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, if I look out my window here, she has a house across the
Yeah, that's right. You were telling
yeah.
me that. That's cool.
I'm not gonna
That's
say where I
cool.
live because I don't want anyone stalking her or whatever, but like no, but I've seen her jogging around on the roads with she has a ponytail and a little, she's doing her workout. I've never talked to her, but that's probably why she like. I think it's just a little vacation home, but I think that's why they vacation, because the people in my area like don't really talk to anybody, so they can go wherever a celebrity can go here. Like Michael J. Fox used to live not far from here, or had a house. I don't know if he still does, but he did for a long time.
There's going back to the idea of remakes.
Yeah.
There's with the whole subject. It's interesting because there's movies that people will argue that you shouldn't touch, but if you take away nostalgia, I don't know if like the movie is as, because I'll watch a movie as a kid and I'll be like, this movie's the greatest movie ever, and I'll have my wife
Absolutely.
watch it,
Yes.
or I'll have, my mom will watch it, and they'll be like, this is terrible. What are you talking? This movie is so cheesy. It's so bad. And so I think there are some movies that like
Hmm.
nostalgia would make me angry, but maybe they're a good movie to remake.
Yeah.
And I thought about it, and I think there's a lot of Danny Kaye movies that I would be angry if they remade, but probably by production value could make a good movie.
Hmm.
and they already made Secret Life of Walter Mitty, so that was cool. But I think they could remake. I think they could remake the Court Jester.
Yeah.
It's. I don't think it's. See, for how much you love that, because I love that movie. Like that, I don't think that's as well known or as widely like known or
Oh, it
cared
certainly
about
isn't. No, yeah.
as you and I. So I propose that as a remake because of the thing I prefaced earlier, which is when remakes come out, I think they shed light on the original film. And so
That's
that
true.
would be one of those movies that I would love people to remake. A, because I would go watch it and I would root for it to be good. But if it was terrible, people would then go back and watch the original, and then I'd have more people to talk to it about.
Well, I also think, and we've talked about him before, I think Danny Kaye is one of the most underrated actors that's,
Uh,
walked the stage, you know.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. If you haven't seen much of Danny Kaye's filmography, go watch. You will not regret it.
Yeah.
His Hans Christian Andersen is great. That movie is great. Supposedly they're doing not a remake of that specific version, but they're doing another Hans Christian Andersen movie. I don't
Hmm.
know. That was interesting. Someone tried to remake. I know this could be a whole nother pot of like remakes that were gonna happen and that didn't. But I heard on the subject of musicals, someone said they were remaking Singing in the Rain, and then there was so much backlash. They were like, "No, we're not. We're not
You
doing
can't,
that."
you cannot, because that's like, it's one thing to act, but the acting, the singing, and the dancing, you can't redo that unless you're going to use AI. In which case, I say throw
Right.
the AI version into the ocean because that should never.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct. And then, like, I think musicals, like, I know you've seen more musicals than the average person, because of who you grew up with and just uh what was around. But I think there's a lot of musicals they could do for a revamp. That maybe the music themselves is it's still going to be the same songs. So maybe musicals are a little bit different because you're more so changing out the people. I think there could be music like On the Town with Gene Kelly and Frank Sinatra is brilliant, and I wouldn't necessarily want it touched, but at the same time, you could do something fun with it modernized. I don't
I
know.
don't
I
know.
feel like there's
It
there's
feels like,
musicals that
I don't know. It feels like the musicians now have to prove that they can write good music for a musical.
mm,
Do redoing it and having, like, who's a popular actor right now? What's the guy with the hair from the Blade Runner movie?
oh, Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, so Ryan Gosling can come in with his abs and all the things, and like he can singing in the rain, but it's like, no, 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 someone's done that. Someone has sang that song. So why doesn't a good musician now write a good like musical like Bjork did years ago? The Icelandic musician, she wrote a whole musical with her own music, and it was very good. I think it was called Dancer in the Dark. I think it was called.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But have a like, and like I think it isn't that I think the musicians nowadays can't. I think that they have to prove it to musical people that like musicals. They have to prove it to them first.
Mm.
So like do it a few times before you can go and remake the original. So like I don't know
Like
who the
like I don't know if you saw it, but they remade Steven Spielberg remade West Side Story the other couple
yeah,
years, and
I didn't
I
see it.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I was not like, it wasn't like.
I didn't like the original, by the way. So I'm
No,
not.
that's fair. That's fair. I enjoyed it. As far as a remake goes, I was like, this is great. Like I and so there is that level of like when you get the guy to go and do it. There's a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I just want a quick trip to either money or
Yeah.
the seat in a director's chair." There are a lot of people that are quick to remake something that are not worthy of doing that. But like Steven Spielberg, he's worthy of doing whatever the heck he wants.
But also, it's like I think it's a like a little bit like the actors that want to do it. Basically, they want to give it a shot once, and then they want to go back to what they're comfortable with. And it's like, no, you got to prove to me you can do musicals then. Like, okay,
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling, go do like 5 musicals, and then we'll talk. Okay, come on.
Right. No, that's
And also,
fair. That's
also,
fair.
by the way, Steven Spielberg. I know you're going to watch our podcast at some point. Steven Spielberg, don't waste your time with remakes.
He
You're
is making
so
a brand new he is
you're so
making a
good.
brand new
Don't waste
Alien
your time. You
movie.
only have so many hours and days left.
His next film is an original Alien film. Not Alien as in like
No,
the
no, I
horror
know. Yeah.
genre. Yeah, yeah. It's an original sci-fi film,
I
which
just want him to
which
stick
John
with.
Williams is coming out of retirement to score.
I want No, I think we should change this. I think Steven Spielberg needs to go and make period pieces about anything that he finds interesting for the rest of his days, and that's what he's allowed to do. He goes to get money from somebody, and he's like, I have this great idea for an alien movie, and they're like, well, that's fine, but we'd like you to make a movie about the Peloponnesian War or something that, like something historical. He's so good at it. Just all the actors would go to him. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, because I mean, he did Munich and then Warhorse, Lincoln, Bridge of Spies, The Post, and then
That's
a bunch
terrible.
of weird movies in between, like West Side Story, Ready Player One, the BFG. Why are you doing the BFG? He has grandkids, and they were like, Grandpa Steve, we need a kids movie.
Yeah, yeah, that's
That's
totally
what
what it
that
was.
is.
It was like Robert Rodriguez after he made the trilogy with what was the trilogy with the guy with the guitar?
Wait, until the dusk till
Dust Till
dawn. No,
Dawn.
what's Dusk till
No, no,
dawn?
not Dust Till Dawn, but the mariachi series.
Mariachi series.
So
Yeah.
so he made this movie called something like Lava Girl and the blah 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 or something like that. It was like two kids who had like superhero powers or whatever. And he was asked in an interview like, "Hey, why are you making these like kids movies like you're making these action films and all this stuff?" And he's like the reason. I'm making films and my kids asked what I do for a living and I can't show them any of my work because it's too
Yeah.
violent and too full of curse words and all this. And so he made, it's something in, yeah, Lava Girl and whatever it is. But that was the reason he made, and he actually made, it was a trilogy. He made three of them.
So the new Steven Spielberg movie comes out on my birthday in the 2026.
Okay.
It's untitled as of right now, but it's described as an Amblin Universal event film.
Who
It
knows?
stars Emily Blunt, Coleman Domingo, Colin Firth, and Wyatt Russell. And there's a bunch of other people, but then supposedly he's doing a mini series about Napoleon, and he's doing a remake. So this is perfect. This ties in. He is doing it's going to be it's an untitled Frank Bullet project, which is based on the Steve McQueen character from 1968.
Yeah, Bullet.
And Bradley Cooper is playing Frank Bullet.
You can't remake Bullet.
No? Bullet's one of those
No,
ones you don't think? You don't think
you
you can
can't do
improve
it.
on that?
You can't do it. You're not allowed.
Spielberg can't?
No, sorry. He's broken a rule. He's broken the rule. You can't remake something that has like, it's
But
a
I don't think
classic
you
movie. It's also super good and it has like one of the best actors of all time.
But if you walk down the street, I think probably 10 out of 10 people will say they've never seen Bullet.
That's fine. That's fine. That's their fault. That is
I
their
think you
fault.
can you can totally remake a film no one's seen.
No, no, you can't. No, I disagree. I disagree with all of this. Yes.
Okay. You're anti that getting remade. Okay.
What? What? Okay, I'm gonna go back to my list of things that should be remade. If you as we're gonna do it, I think there's been a ton of versions of this, but The Lost World would be a cool remake. The original Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, that was the original book, and it was
Okay.
the first version was in 1925, but there's like a 1960s version and a 90s version. There's in the aughts they made some kind of thing of it. There's been TV shows made of it, but none of them have been spectacular. And I feel like if they, I mean, this is like sort of the one of those books that was the inspiration for Michael Crichton's the Jurassic Park movies or the books.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Okay.
you give it like a Jurassic Park treatment in terms of like the budget, the effects, all the things, and throw it at the Lost World. And actually, Jurassic Park, The Lost World is like number 2, I think it was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was actually
Okay.
like a callback to the original book. He actually, yeah,
Ah.
I think he kind of stole a couple things from there, but it doesn't matter. But yeah,
Okay.
one of the
Gotcha.
islands that Crichton wrote, he named after an island in one of the classic books. I can't remember, but that anyway, it doesn't matter.
Gotcha. Well, I don't have another film on my list. I don't know if you have a couple more that you want to highlight. I went kind of small on this list because I'm against remakes on the whole. So I wanted to make a
Yeah,
statement by not having too many. So I want this one remade. I want this, but you don't
yeah,
like
yeah.
remakes. No, it's true. I don't.
I have a couple that I'm gonna name that could be interesting, and one of them is actually and I almost would never do this, but it's an animated film, The
What?
Black Cauldron.
The animated film?
Yeah,
Oh,
But here's my twist. I don't want it remade as an animated film. That can stand on its own. I would want it remade as a live action film because that book is part of a 5 book series that is one of the best young adult book series of all time.
I did not know that was part of a
It is,
series.
yeah, it's like it's one of the best series, and they didn't do it justice. They left so much out of the movie. It doesn't make any sense. And there's a reason that it didn't do well at the box office. It nearly tanked Disney's animation studio.
Well, they don't have it. You can't watch it on Disney Plus. Like they
Right, they
vaulted
won't
it.
because they tanked and they're embarrassed by it. I have a version. I have a copy of it, but it's very hard to find.
Yeah.
But here's a funny story. So it was one of my favorite books series growing up. When I was in college, I well, sort of my philosophy in life. I have lots of philosophies. One of my philosophies has been, what could it hurt? So when I was in college, I decided to sleuth around, and I I sort of found out where the author's name is Lloyd Alexander, where he lives, like what city. So I call the operator back when you could call the operator and you got a human being on the phone. And so I start saying that I'm looking for this guy that we had a deal that went sideways. I'm trying to find this guy. And so I found out. So I was able to track down Lloyd Alexander to a phone number somewhere in Pennsylvania. And so me being me, I just gave him a call. And so so I'm there, so I'm like ring, 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 and then like a guy picks up. He's like, "Hello." I'm like, "Hey, is this Mr. Alexander?" And he's like, "Yes, it is." I'm like, "Lloyd Alexander?" He's like, "Oh, yes, it is." I'm like, "The author, Lloyd Alexander?" And he's like, "Yes, yes, it is. Who is this?" And so I'd explain how I'm a college student, and I was like, I didn't think I'd be able to get him, and I was like, "Hey, could I do an interview with you?" And he was like, "Well, this is pretty inappropriate if you to call me at home." And da 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 da. He gave me a talking to. But then he gave me his address and he said, "Send me your interview questions. I'll answer your interview for you and mail it back to you."
Well,
And so I sent him that. I sent him a book to sign. He signed it. He did the interview and he sent it back to me. And I have it somewhere in storage somewhere.
I was gonna say you have the book. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
It's
So to
actually the Black Cauldron.
yes,
That's
yeah.
cool.
So it's a huge. So I don't think
So
the
would you
anime.
want it? Would you want it remade in animated form,
No,
or would
no,
you
I would
want
want
it
it
live
live
action?
action. Yeah,
Okay.
live
Would you want
action.
it as a TV show or a movie?
Well, because there's 5 books and there is a lot in the books, I think it would either have to be 5 completely different movies, but studios, that's a big ask that's a lot of money and you got to like the first one has to do well, you'll never get to book, moving 2 or 3. So I think probably a TV series would be fantastic. And it's also only 5 books, so it would only be 5 seasons.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but um
That's amazing. That's a great
yeah,
story.
so that was the creme de la creme of. I've actually done that a couple other times, but that'll save those stories for yeah.
Next time.
It was back in the day where you could look stuff up and just figure it out and never know.
That's crazy. I love that you
Mhm.
did that.
Okay, so I think to end this podcast, I want to talk about a couple of remakes that are coming out that I agree and disagree with my list of 3.
Okay.
So the first one that I wholeheartedly disagree, this should not have ever been remade. They have remade The Crow.
Yes.
It's the original is just this perfect one film. There are sequels to it, but that doesn't matter. It's just considered a one film thing because the main character died when they made the film. They should never remake it. It is a perfect film, but they're remaking it, and I say a big no. What do you say?
The remake's out already. It came out like last year or the year before.
No,
Then
that's
they're
what I'm
making it
saying.
again.
Well,
Yeah, no, no. And in
yeah,
hindsight, I had talked about this briefly on another pod, and I don't remember which one. I think maybe superheroes when we were talking about superheroes. Because you had mentioned the Crow when they were remaking it with Jason Momoa as the possible Crow. I was on board to see what would happen, but the minute they switched to Bill Skarsgård, I was out, and the movie was terrible. So both of those things combined, way out on that. Like
yeah,
that's a no. That's a no. I also think when you have a movie that's like critically successful, audience successful, and the guy dies in production, you just don't ever remake that movie.
yeah. Doesn't need to happen. Yeah.
Doesn't need to happen.
Okay. So the three that are upcoming. So that was the one that it's already up, but the 3 that are upcoming, I have opinions on.
I'm sure you do.
So they're remaking. They're not. Well, they're doing a Highlander movie.
Hmm.
Now, here's the caveat for the audience here. At first, I was angry, and then I was petrified. No, that's just a song. But
First, I was afraid.
so then I found because I was like, no, no, it can't be. You know, the original has Sean Connery, and it's just perfect the way it is. There have been sequels to it, I know, but they announced as if it was going to be a remake. But then, as it turns out, it is not quite a remake. It is the main character, which is played by, is it Cavill? I think is playing it.
Jim Caviezel?
Yeah. No, 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 no. The Superman guy.
Cavill, Henry Cavill.
Yeah, Cavill. Yeah, yeah,
Cavill,
tomato,
yeah.
tomato. Yeah. Yeah. He's in the same clan as the original McLeod, but he's not playing McLeod. So
Okay.
so that's how I'm like, okay, I'm okay with it then because they changed it enough.
Yeah, I'm okay with remakes if it's not like a for some classic films, especially for this one especially.
Yeah.
I'm okay with remakes if it's continuing a story.
Yeah.
If it's adding more to a story that I already like, which is why I like when they make the new Predator movies or the new
Right.
Alien movies. Like even if it's bad, I don't care cuz I'm still in the universe that I love.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on board.
The okay, so that was number one. The second movie, which I could have a strong opinion about, but I weirdly don't. But they're remaking the Masters of the Universe that was out in the 80s. So for those that
Like
don't know, there was a toy that came out that was He-Man, and it was He-Man and the Master of the Universe, and they had Skeletor and they had all these different characters as toys, and they made a movie which was absolutely terrible. And it didn't diminish the toys because us little boys, we like to play with the toys still. They're still pretty cool because it was He-Man and he was like strong and everything, and Skeletor was evil, and there was like, some hot lady, and there was some like goofy creature. Cast is really interesting.
I was gonna say, I'm looking at the cast
Yeah,
and
tell the people what the cast is.
I'm all in. But you have the sorceress is played by Morena Baccarin.
Baccarin, I don't
She's
know, but
yeah,
she's eminently hot.
yeah. Idris Elba
Yeah,
is Man at Arms.
Man of Arms, yes.
James Purfoy, who's amazing, by the way,
Hmm. Hmm.
and Jared Leto is playing Skeletor, which weirdly is perfect. I
He's a
think he's a weird dude, so I think that's great. And then the guy playing He-Man is relatively new to the scene. I've never heard of him. Nicholas Gazeltine?
I'd have
Gal
to see a picture, so maybe you
Galsatine?
can, yeah,
Allison Brie is also in it. Kristen Wiig.
yeah,
The Mountain from Game of Thrones is in it.
yeah. Oh, I think the lead guy, I think he's some kind of WWE wrestler or something. I think I'd
Yeah.
read they're bringing in some people from. It was either that or
Okay.
Highlander was bringing in a bunch of guys with it. I can't remember, but
Okay, yeah, but it looks great. And it's directed by Travis Knight, who's interesting because he usually just does animated films.
yeah,
And so it's like I think the ones he's done The Missing Link, which was cool, Kubo and the Two Strings, Paranorman, and he did some work with the newer Bumblebee movie. So like if there's a guy that's going to do it, I think he's a pretty good director to do it cuz he
yeah,
understands the medium of like people's enjoyment of classic like
yeah.
entertainment.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. And so the third movie that's
Mm.
coming out, which it's coming out. I think it has to be in the next few weeks because I think they're throwing it out there for Oscar contention.
This
Is
Friday. It just came out. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, yeah.
like this
So
week.
Nuremberg, for those that don't know, it's actually a remake of a movie that came out in the '60s, which was excellent, but it's very long and very dry and a little bit boring at times. But the new version looks fantastic.
It's Russell Crowe, Michael Shannon, Rami Malek,
Yeah,
and Richard D. Grant and John Slattery.
yeah. It's just I would be shocked if several of them weren't nominated for some kind of award for it. And there is a lot of talk for Russell Crowe for, I don't know if it'd be supporting actor, or I don't know how many words he has in the movie, but I think he's basically a co-star at that point. We have lost Noah to technical difficulties. So if he does not come back, I'll have to hunt him down with my particular set of skills. But if he doesn't come back, then this was an episode of the Great Movie Podcast, and we thank you for joining us. Take care.